Hello everyone. Thank you for tuning in to our presentation. Our names are Lindsay, Abby, and George, and our presentation is about cardiology and the electrocardiomatrix. Specifically, we will discuss the current issues in cardiology, compare the electrocardiomatrix to currently used technology, and highlight how the switch to this new technology will impact patients in the field of cardiology. I hope you all enjoy. Let's begin.
I want to start off by explaining why this new technology is so important. As most of us know, heart disease is the leading cause of death in the U.S. Heart disease is such a broad category that covers conditions such as coronary artery disease, heart attack, arrhythmia, congenital heart defects, cardiomyopathy, and many more. Cardiologists often don't see these patients until they've already had a life-threatening emergency room visit. The photo I inserted is a picture of my parents, and my dad has actually been trying to get his atrial fibrillation under control for a couple of years now. He went undiagnosed even after multiple emergency room visits and began tracking his own heartbeat on his Apple Watch while working out, just to be safe. His Apple Watch alerted them that he was in AFib one day while he was working out, and he went to the cardiologist and was properly diagnosed, treated, and will actually be undergoing cardiac ablation in a couple of weeks. So I wanted to share that little story about my dad to show how serious heart diseases and conditions are often left undetected and untreated due to a lack of monitoring or an inaccurate reading. A new and upcoming technology that helps alleviate those issues is the electrocardiomatrix. The electrocardiomatrix transforms two-dimensional signals from a traditional ECG into a three-dimensional heat map. This allows for a quicker and more accurate read of the data. The electrocardiomatrix can be used to easily differentiate between conditions such as AFib and atrial flutter. On the next slide, I will show the difference between a traditional ECG reading and the electrocardiomatrix reading. This picture shows the differences in data collected from a standard ECG and electrocardiomatrix. So the top portions, that right next to where it says A and B, those two top portions are the traditional ECG readings, and the bottom two are the images from the electrocardiomatrix. As you can see, the images from the ECG are not as detailed and don't provide that three-dimensional aspect that the electrocardiomatrix shows. With the increasing need to collect longer ECG signals and the beat-by-beat inspection of ECG signals, this becomes a challenging task for physicians. This new technology will allow the simultaneous analysis of micro and macro features of ECG signals. The regular ECG is prone to false positives and false negatives, thus potentially preventing physicians from catching deadly symptoms early. So when using the electrocardiomatrix, there's very little room for human and machine error.
Now that we know the differences between an electrocardiomatrix and an electrocardiogram, let's get into the practicality of the electrocardiomatrix. With the early detection of conditions like atrial fibrillation, the new and upcoming device will reduce many strokes annually. Strokes can be caused by atrial fibrillation, as the heart's irregular rhythm can cause blood to collect in the heart's upper chambers, the atria, and clot. Blood clots can detach from the heart and move up to the brain and block blood flow, ultimately producing a stroke. An electrocardiogram can take months to detect atrial fibrillation, whereas an electrocardiomatrix can detect it quickly enough to begin treatment and prevent a stroke from occurring or reoccurring. What we know about the electrocardiomatrix is that it's a great representation of the data that the electrocardiogram provides, showing all the electrocardiogram's intervals and heart rate variations in real time. Due to this effectiveness, electrocardiomatrices are quick to catch atrial fibrillation in a patient and potentially prevent strokes or other complications that atrial fibrillation may produce. This would save people many months in the hospital, disabling aftermaths of strokes, and thousands of dollars that would have been spent on months of electrocardiogram testing.
In conclusion, I hope that we have sufficiently explained how the electrocardiomatrix can transform cardiology, how it can help reduce stroke numbers and deaths resulting from stroke, and how the ECM can save patients money in the long term. So, transitioning into our discussion questions, knowing that the ECM is a long-term, cost-effective tool that has the ability to save lives and reduce stroke numbers nationally, Why do you think that an ECG is still being used today? Could this be an example of corruption in the United States healthcare system? Please explain. In addition to this, knowing that the risk of stroke increases with age, how do you think the advancement and increase in usage of the electrocardiomatrix would affect Medicare in the United States healthcare system? When answering this question, it's also important to remember that stroke is the number one cause of serious long-term disability in the United States, and people with disabilities are included in Medicare. Again, I hope that the information provided was sufficient and easy to understand. Thank you all for listening.